Hello, I'm Carl Dawson from BibleQuiz.com and the BQ Coach Training Blog. Today we're going to talk about a very important subject. We're going to teach quizmasters and judges, as well as coaches, how to read questions. Now, this might seem like a simple thing, but in fact it's very complex and requires a great deal of ability. We're going to talk about the key components to reading difficult questions, and we're going to talk about the most important thing, which is to be clear, loud, and consistent in your reading style. For more, let's turn it to Joey Bohanon. He's going to show us how to read some questions.
All right, let's get started. Question number 1 for 20 points, quotation question from 1 Corinthians, verse 8 from the opening chapter. So this is a basic quotation question, and most of your quizzers that have memorized this are going to be hitting right after the word "the." At least that's where you can interrupt it. So here I would like to say you don't want to over-anticipate where they're hitting and stop early. At the same time, you want to at least anticipate somewhat where they're going to be hitting so that you can prevent yourself from bleeding. So in this case, most of the good quizzers are going to be hitting right on the word "opening," and you want to stop as soon as they hit. Okay, next question. Question number 2 for 30 points, 8-part answer from 1 Corinthians chapter 1. Which individuals are named? So you'll notice that as I got to the end of the introductory remarks there, I went straight into the question. That's because this is an 8-part answer from 1 Corinthians chapter 1. It's also early in the year, so there's very few 8-part answers from 1 Corinthians chapter 1 that could be asked. So most of your quizzers are going to be flying right on the first word of this. You want to try to prevent them from getting a foul by hitting before you start reading the question. Okay. Question number 3 for 10 points, 2-part answer. According to 1 Corinthians 1:14, who did Paul baptize? So again, what I want to mention here is you want to anticipate where they're going to hit, but not over-anticipate. So 1 Corinthians 1:14, that's probably where most of the quizzes are going to hit. That's because this is a 2-part answer, and there's only one 2-part answer in that verse. If it doesn't have the 2-part answer, most of them will wait until the first word after the reference. So, and you can anticipate that, just don't pause in any weird places so that the quizzers overhit. Okay. Question number 4 for 20 points. Scripture text question, give a complete answer from 2 consecutive verses from the section titled Divisions in the Church. Why did Paul say, quote, "I am thankful"? So this question, it's got a fairly long introductory remark, and you'll notice that I read it without any pauses. Even though there are multiple periods and some commas here, there's also commas in the question. Specifically on scripture text questions, when you have the word "quote," there's a comma both before and after the quote. And every quizzer is going to be hitting on the first word of the quote. So you want to make sure that you don't pause for the commas, because the quizzers are bound to overhit those and get absolutely nothing. So you want to make sure that they hit and they get exactly what they're expecting to get. Okay, one last question. Question number 5 for 10 points, 2-part question from 1 Corinthians chapter 1. Jews demand what, and Greeks look for what? So you'll notice as I read those 2 questions, one of them I inflected, the second one I also inflected just a little bit differently. But the idea is that quizzers are going to be interrupting these as to what the second question is by the way that you read the first question. So by saying Jews demand what, that lets quizzers know that the next question is going to be something about somebody doing something, and in this case it's Greeks looking for something. So that helps quizzers know exactly what to do. Sometimes the writers will also bold and underline the words that they want you to emphasize on the page, and that's very helpful to the quizzers, because a lot of times if it's not bolded, or if you emphasize the wrong words, then that can lead to a completely different question. So those are the 5 questions, and thanks for watching.